streets of Sakugu, northern Ghana, the journey of a literary giant begins. Lawrence Darmani, a man whose footsteps have left an indelible mark on African literature. Through his words and actions, Darmani continues to inspire and nurture the next generation of readers and writers. His book, Footprints, is one of these many testaments to his journey, a legacy of stories that have touched hearts and minds across Africa. Lawrence Darmani was born on 25th October 1956 in Sakugu, northern Ghana, to father Chamba Jatu and mother Nna Teni. His father had 4 wives, with a total of 26 children. His early years were steeped in the rich oral traditions of his village, where storytelling was more than just entertainment. It was a way of life. Living in a full house gave him stories that spanned from relationships, experiences, and complexities of life, bearing resonance with all people, young or old, wealthy or indigent, religious or non-religious.
My name is Lawrence Darmani. I have a middle name called Jatu. Jatu is my father's name, but it tends to be my middle name because I'm a first generation person, and so Darmani is my surname. I was the only person that my father sent to school. He did vow and say that even though he's not been able to go to school himself, he will send his first son to school, and that's what happened. And I remember one day when I was 6 years old, he got up and said, "Let's go to school." And that's how it all began. And from that time onwards, even though we had to walk the distance of about 3-4 miles from the village to the town to go to school, it was quite a joy to do that. When we were in school, one day, our teacher brought a set of books, quite a number of them. They were story books, English books, and then in those days, history, geography, and then he put them all together and then said, "Take these books, these are yours, and go and ask your father so that he will pay for them." But that was my first contact with books. I sent it to my father. My father was very happy to pay for the books. So by the time I was 24, I felt as if, I wanted to change jobs. So I wrote to all the banks in Tamale. I don't know why I decided that I would like to work with the banks, because at the banks was likely to be more dignifying or maybe pay more. But when I went to the bank, the moment I arrived there, I knew it was not my field. I had begun to develop writing in my life. When I was in Tamale, one of the most important things that happened to me, I told you, I started working at the age of 17. At the age of 19 is when I gave my life to Christ. And that's significant because at the age of 17 and 18, I was beginning to enjoy life. I was receiving salary. The first time I got my pay, I couldn't believe that I had so much CDs in my hands for me. So when I worked in the bank, I noticed something interesting. I had begun to write stories and articles, you see, and I was a Christian. I had become a Christian. And so I realized that in the bank, people enjoyed working overtime in order to get more money. So over the weekend, I would not go to work. I used to go for a weekend conference for students, because we're teaching students how to grow in their new life, how to overcome temptation.
After the bank, Darmani began writing stories to sell. Out of this, he compiled a 32-page book called Temptations of a Student, published by the African Christian Press. He also wrote poems and articles for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and newspapers. Kenya became an important part of his writing career when missionary Donald Banks set his manuscripts to a monthly publication in Kenya. Soon, he started writing for the publication by writing articles, short stories, feature stories, and personal experience stories.
The first book published by Lawrence Darmani, Temptation of a Student, was materials he collected from his counseling sessions to SU group in high schools. And that book, Temptations of a Student, was published by ACP, Africa Christian Press, the publishing house of Scripture Union, in 1982. And from that first book published by Lawrence Darmani, to date, we can count 40 books that he has published and still counting. Indeed, I should say more than 40 books. And we have lost count of the contributions and articles in magazines and, books that he made contributions to. Lawrence Darmani is an international writer and author. Let me think about areas in which he has made contributions nationally and internationally in literature. As an international author, he has contributed to Daily Bread, used globally and published in Michigan. He has contributed to the Discipleship Journal over the years, published in the US. He is a distinguished writer. And his landmark book, The Grief Child, is a textbook for high school students across West Africa, in Ghana and West Africa. And he has written many other books that are used as supplementary texts in schools across the country and other countries. Lawrence Darmani is an international author who has for 12 years contributed to articles to the national newspaper, the Nation newspaper in Nairobi, Kenya, for over 12 years. And this newspaper, daily newspaper, is circulated in the East Africa bloc of countries. And Lawrence contributed articles in the Nation newspaper for over 12 years.
Darmani believes volunteering opens doors for your future. While he volunteered for STEP publication for only 2 weeks, he had the opportunity to be fully sponsored to be trained in a Kenyan university. With determination, he began writing Grief Child and brought the manuscript back to Ghana after his degree program in communications. In 1988, he established STEP Publishers as a replica of STEP magazine here in Ghana. As CEO of STEP Publishers, he created the ambience for a lot of writers' seminars and gave opportunities for interns from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, such as Emmanuel Dogrivi, who is now an international journalist, and Samuel Nyakomensa, head of publication for STEP Publishers, among others.
My writing skills and talent was discovered by Lawrence Darmani. Even though a lot of people knew me, and I had been writing 5 years prior to meeting him, nobody really gave me the opportunity until I met him. So I was the first intern that STEP magazine took on. My responsibility was to learn how to improve my writing, and so I got involved in the entire production process. Assigned writers, I followed them up. I would bring the materials to the office. I would edit them. I would be the first editor before it goes to the assistant editor, and then it goes to the managing editor. So as I did all these on the job, I learned to improve my skills. And I sat in the editorial meetings as well, where we decide on the next issue of the magazine, and then we will assign various subjects and topics to writers. And I get assigned work to do. And I remember the very first article I was assigned to write was the impact of video movies on Ghanaian children. So overall, my journalism and writing career was, Lawrence was key in that journey. There is no way I think I would be this kind of writer or journalist if I hadn't gone through the Step magazine program and if I hadn't been influenced by Lawrence. He has deeply and greatly influenced my writing skills. He is an incredibly good writer. He pays attention to detail. He is prolific, and he influenced me greatly in terms of the ethics, in terms of my commitment to storytelling, and of course the values that I learned from Step magazine has very largely influenced my overall professional journey.
Over the years, Mr. Darmani has been a great leader for us. He has been fantastic, and he likes to push you to be creative. You know, he loves to delegate a lot, and he's in delegation. He ensures that you get the best out of what he wants. He will give you the space to operate, and in that space, he will ensure that everything we are doing is up to standard. He will not be on you to ensure that you do A and do B, but he gives you the space, and that has been fantastic for us to explore our knowledge, explore our creativity. He's a trainer, and because he's a trainer, he has trained me and trained the staff in various ways, pushing us to write, pushing us to pick up various challenging assignments. And because of his training background, he has pushed some of us also into training. And because of that, I have done trainings in Ghana, I've done trainings in other parts of Africa, and also in Europe and other places where I've trained people in digital publishing, in general publishing services, and also in designing of books.
He's practically a father. I've always been a reader. I've loved reading, but I've never seen myself as a writer. Some years back, Mr. Darmani encouraged all the staff to write stories so that we can publish and so that our schools can get new titles. And so from his encouragement, I wrote a story. And it's been published, but since then, I've done 4 others that are also being published. And so I see that as his push made me to even think of myself as a writer. And that is something that I'm very grateful for.
And Lawrence is a special man that I know. He's a naturally bound writer, and he has a special skill that I can still not understand. When we are moving and there's a scene and I just look at it and move, by the time we get to sit down somewhere, then he has written a story out of the whole scene. Then I asked him, why do you come by this story? He said it's a gift from God. He writes a beautiful story at every event that he sees. And he writes, it's a, how do I call it? It's a creative stories. And when you read it, it's very rich. And you can learn a lot from it. So the story, you read it, you get something. You know, some stories you read them, you don't get anything. But this story, you read it, you start, you don't want to finish because you want to get to the end and know exactly. And then in the end, he will tell you what God is doing.
Darmani's debut novel, Grief Child, was published in 1991. The story of a young boy's struggle with loss and resilience resonated deeply with readers, earning Darmani the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best First Book. Since then, Grief Child has become an African literary staple, widely read in senior high schools from Ghana to Uganda through to Kenya's Orange Book. Grief Child was published in Oxford, London by Lion Publishing in 1991. Lawrence believes the impact of Grief Child on people was so real, because if the writer has cried, then the reader must also cry. Grief Child not only brought him to acclaim, it also established him as a significant voice in African literature.
The man simply has to write. And for instance, he has a book here called Pick Up Your Pen, in which he encourages anybody who wants to write, because he believes that everybody has a story. So whether he's in Senegal, whether he's in Mali, whether he's in Ghana, anywhere that he is, whether he's in Kenya holding a workshop, he's always ready to encourage people. And you cannot but write when you are in one of his workshops. When we come to the junior youth, senior youth, at a time when children, youngsters are trying to find themselves and are a bit befuddled as to what to do, how to handle their emotions, he has the series on the vacations, senior high school series that students will read and find themselves in and get answers to their problems. That is the man. He's able to get into the minds of these youngsters and write such that they read and they find that this is the problem I'm having. How is it solved? And they come away edified. They come away having their questions answered. He has written also for adults, using the parables of the Bible and trying to make them see how solutions can be found to their problems when they read the Bible. He knows that it's very difficult for people to read the Bible as it is, but when he brings everyday language to it, talking as an editor, that's what I find, that he's able to get to the level of the people that he's writing for.
Some popular titles of Lawrence Darmani include Grief Child, All the Way to Calvary, God Bless Our Homeland Ghana, One for the Road, Journeys of an African Father, Strength for the Journey, and The Heritage. Genres of Lawrence's books include environmental stories, social issues, patriotism, culture and heritage, commentaries of other books, senior high school series, Jobs People Do children's series, and others. Over the years, Darmani continued to captivate audiences with his evocative storytelling. His works explore themes of grief, hope, and the human condition, all while celebrating Ghanaian culture and heritage. Lawrence Darmani's writing is profound and deeply empathetic. His ability to capture the essence of human emotions and experiences is truly remarkable. Lawrence Darmani navigates his stories with hope, light, and love. Beyond his writing, Darmani is a passionate advocate for literacy and education. Through various outreach programs, he has inspired countless minds, nurturing the next generation of writers and readers.
Darmani has 4 grandchildren. I have 2 and my sister has 2 as well. And he's very family oriented. He enjoys the company of his grandchildren a lot whenever they come around him and all of that. And when we were young as kids, he was a very busy man, but he always tried to find the time to play with us and to take us to playground. Those times it was Afa Sutherland Park. He took us there a couple of times, and he was always bringing us to his workplace to see the things that he does at work and how he relates with people, how he writes, what inspires him. We got to know all about that at an early age because he was always telling us stories. And in fact, his storytelling is what actually made me more interested in writing. I'm an author, And I also work at Step Publishers, where he's the CEO. So I think that the storytelling at the early age, and then my interest in reading and in writing, it's all added up to me being who I am today. My parents have been married for the past 36 years. When we were younger, we all used to go to church together with my mom, my dad, and the two of us. We all go to church together. And my sister and I used to be so angry sometimes because he used to spend so much time at church. And it was sometimes we'll be so hungry and we'll go and call him like 20 times, he won't come, and then we'll be so one thing about my dad is his commitment to church. He's very committed to church. He really enjoys evangelism and, relating with people, counseling and all of that. So I can say that one of his main hobbies is to go to church. Basically, the church environment, he likes that, and relating with other people at church. We've had a couple of pets over the years. One of them has been birds. We've had some birds with bird cages and all of that, but somehow he always let them go in the end because we couldn't get the time to really properly take care of them. So he was always like, okay, they are better off free. But he likes to watch birds. He likes to sometimes even read about birds. Okay, there's one thing he also really likes doing, that's watching the National Geographic channel. He really loves the animals, chasing each other, the animal kingdom basically. He really enjoys watching that. So that's one of his favorite hobbies to do. Yes, so his favorite food that has been consistent is banku and okra soup. That's his all-time favorite. Because my mom was a caterer, he actually was exposed to a whole variety of foods, but he's been consistent with this banku and okra. So I can say it's his favorite food. Right now he eats all sorts of foods, but that has been consistent. When we heard about the Ghana International Book Fair Personality of the Year selection, personally I was very excited. I was happy for him because he has been working for many years, like over 30 years. He has been writing. He has been very faithful to his craft, writing so many books over a long period of time, and he's been very dedicated. So in fact, it didn't come too much as a surprise because he's won a lot of awards for various things his whole life. So I was very appreciative of the fact that he had been chosen and he was being recognized this year. So I mean, at home you can imagine the excitement and the joy that we experienced when we heard of this. And we want to say a very big thank you to the Ghana International Book Fair and their recognition and the time they took to know more about my father and all the measures they put in place to celebrate his life. So my deepest appreciation goes to them and to all the workers involved.
This year is the 21st edition of the Ghana International Book Fair, and as part of our activities, we are honoring a personality in the book industry. Mr. Lawrence Darmani has been a publisher, a writer, and an advocate for the youth, and it is deserving that he is honored for his contributions to the book industry in Ghana and of course in Africa. Having joined the book industry and the Ghana Publishers Association in the 1988, he rose to become the treasurer at one point of the association. Mr. Darmani has been a prolific writer. He has written over 70 titles, mostly Christian literature advocating for the youth, and of course, a stable society for all of us to play in. His publishing house, Step Publishers, has over 300 titles to their credit. And this is a tremendous contribution to the industry. For his role in managing such a huge enterprise, together with his writing abilities, it is not out of place for the Publishers Association, the GIBF, to honor him as the Personality of the Year this year. I will take this opportunity to congratulate him in advance for his nomination, and I hope that this nomination will encourage others to follow his footsteps, bringing together an enlightened society through the writings of our great writers. I hope that with his involvement in the Christian literature, he has contributed in moderating peace, stability, and good conscience among the young people of this country. To his credit, he has engineered and brought together various Christian writers and publishers in Africa. And 2 of those international meetings were held in Ghana. At various times in other countries, it has also been held. So his contribution to the book industry, to the Christian world, to writing has been very tremendous. And to this end, I will support the GIBF for nominating him to be the Personality of the Year. I take this opportunity once again to congratulate Mr. Lawrence Darmani for his selection, and of course I believe he deserves it.
Lawrence Darmani's journey is a testament to the power of storytelling. His words have not only entertained, but also enlightened and connected us, bridging cultural and generational gaps.
Now, one of the biggest challenges that we have in publishing in Africa, well, starting from Ghana really, is how to get our books across to the people. In Ghana, it was such a blessing to have schools open their doors for us to go and give the students the books that we have published. But of course, along the line, that was curtailed. And so we have to use extra energy and extra strength to just ensure that the students get the books that we have published. We must encourage reading. My vision is that the schools must go back to the time when books were encouraged to be bought by parents for schools and for their students. We should not say, for example, let's not burden the parents. They don't have money to buy books for students. Who told you? They know how to buy books they know how to buy cloth for funerals. They know how to travel long distances for funerals. They know how to spend money for pleasure. When you go now, they have these joints where the men will just go and pack and just be eating pork. They have a lot of money, so we have to encourage that. You know, Canada, the Canadian government has a policy. Every book that is published in that country, they buy about 10,000 copies. Every book is part of the government policy. Every book from any corner, as long as the book has been approved and it is good, and of course they will not buy any bad book. They use it and then they send it around the world. So my vision is to just encourage people to write, encourage people to publish their works. Look, we still don't have enough books written about God and the world that we live in, our country, and all the good resources that we have. Ghana is full of great ideas and great resources, and we should be able to influence the world with what we have. Africa has a lot, and we must be able to influence the world we have. So my hope is that, by and large, we'll be able to not only encourage writing, but encourage publishing, encourage reading. The library system must return. We should have parents who themselves are reading, parents who have libraries in my house. Whichever way you pass, you'll find a book there. And I used to encourage my daughters to read. Now they read. Last week one of them bought me 2 books. And the day I saw them reading a book full of poems, I knew that they have come so far, because poetry is not something people like to read. But the point is that we have to have parents reading. So, from our own story and from what I've just said, we have a can-do spirit. I encourage young people, whatever talent God has given you, to pursue it and to work with it.
Darmani's legacy is one of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of literature. His stories will continue to inspire and resonate, lighting the way for future generations. Being the 6th Ghana International Book Fair Personality of the Year is a testament to his enduring impact on the Ghanaian and African literary scene. This documentary is a tribute to a literary legend whose words have become a timeless treasure. Thank you, Lawrence Darmani, for sharing your gift with the world.